Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I'm your host, Chris Kirkwood, screen name Kirk D's, here with almost the full show. We're going to be without Bobby one more week. He will be back next week for sure. But as always, joined by my co-host, Notorious, Derek Farnsworth. How's it going, my man?
Yeah, going great. Josh Allen, Monroe St. Brown came through for me last week. So, coming off best week of the season, and hopefully a lot of you out there, played them too.
You are killing it this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
So,
well, I heard. I didn't see it myself, but I heard you were up top in the leaderboards, near the top of various contests throughout. So yeah, congrats on the big week. I did have some access to Allen and Amon-Ra as well, so those teams were enough basically just to break even for me. Just didn't have the right combos.
Nice. I couldn't even play. I had to go home for an early Christmas, and it was a disaster with the baby. My family does it for everyone. It doesn't go to my sister's, and I was ordered that I was not allowed to play, and it was tough. I still bet on games, but I didn't play DFS. But I will be back swinging this week for sure. So we've got we're doing this on Friday night. We've got 11 games, week 16 slate here. Kind of an interesting slate. We've got it's a little tighter, because we don't have the Saturday games, and we also the playoff picture starting to come together. Sorry, my kid is screaming. And then also we've got some new quarterback situations, some big injury situations, and I don't know. It's kind of tough. I'm assuming that if I know my man Noto, he loves some Phoenix, I'm sure, this week. Is that true?
Yeah. I like Anthony Richardson a little more, but he's probably my second favorite play.
But anyways, yeah, overall, big picture, how's the slate looking to you, Noto?
Yeah, like you said, the pricing is really tight. So if you do want to pay out the quarterback, you're going to be, have a unique construction right off the bat, just because there's not a lot of value at running back. There's not a lot of value at wide receiver. Even the cheap tight ends are, in the $3,000 to $4,000 range rather than in the $2,500 range. So it's definitely tougher to make lineups. My only piece of advice is when your lineups look bad, don't worry, because everyone's lineups are going to look bad. So everyone's dealing with the same pieces. We're all trying to figure out the puzzle. And, I think there's some interesting game stacks that could be ugly, like the Jags, Raiders. We'll get to all that.
TJ, how's it looking to you?
It's a fun slate that I'm actually really looking forward to. There's a lot of different stacks I want to try out with a really, really tight core of running backs. So that's going to be my strategy for this week is no matter how many lineups I play, I have 2 players that I'm planning on hitting the lock button on, having them on every single lineup. And then I'm basically just going to build my stacks around the core of the 2 lock button guys I have, and then like the 4 other total running backs in my pool, and just mix and match the different stacks with those versions. Shout out to Marie Don Yeezy in chat asking if I'm feeling a little bit better. Feeling much, much better. I accidentally ran out of medication of mine last night, and so I didn't have it. And then today, my wife, thankfully, while I was on Blender Show this morning, went to the drugstore, picked it up for me. And so I was having the withdrawal symptoms in the morning. And then as soon as I got that back, started slowly perking back up. And now I feel the best I have all day. And Derek Ringering in chat is right. He heard TJ can't be trusted to babysit, because I had my first, I tweeted about it, but I had my first big, stupid parenting blunder today, where I lost focus for just a second when we were hanging out on the bed, and she just jumped right off of the bed.
It happens. It's so I had a really scary situation, but off the bed is your bed totally low to the ground, or is it
it's far too high?
Yeah, so that's the one thing I did right, is we made the bed completely low to the ground, but he would fall off. This stuff happens. You can't control everything. You just do the best you can. But yeah, I wouldn't have you babysitting either, especially not on your medication for sure. Would have to screen, and depending on what the medication is too. I still might not let you babysit. But I do need a babysitter. Yeah. And you will too soon. Even with parents because they're not reliable. Anyways, people got mad at us for chit-chatting for 8.5 minutes or something last night. They guess they didn't appreciate the Costco bit. I mean, who doesn't love Costco? Craziness, right?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll get on to the slate. Do we have any ad reads I got to do quickly? Splash Sports. If you haven't signed up for Splash Sports, now is the time. Use promo code ROTO10. They have a big college football contest with 11 games that is lock-in. Friday night, $50 entry to win $15K. It's lock-in tonight. So maybe mention who you tell us who you think is going to win these playoffs, and then get over to Splash Sports and get in there. Also, DFS is all about value. The busiest time in the sports calendar, which means it's the perfect time to sign up for RG Combo for a limited time. Get your first month of combo access for just $79.99. That's just $5 more than NBA Premium. So don't pass up on this great value. And then last, we've got a great props and pick'em tool over here at RG. So get expert picks for all your favorite sites with props and pick'em. Our elite sports betting and fantasy pick'em packages features bets and analysis from all your favorite RG experts. And props and pick'em also includes tools and data powered by our hardworking projection teams. Don't make a bet without it. Let's jump right into the slate, fellas. What up to all Jug Nation that seems pretty strong in here? Chat, let us know any questions you have. Derek will always be looking for your season-long questions, so get those in, and we will get them answered. All right, Week 16, 11 games. Detroit is 6.5-point favorites at Chicago with the highest total of 48, followed by Arizona, -4.5 at Carolina, 47-point total. Then LA Rams travel to the New York Jets, where their LA is 3-point favorites with a 46.5-point total. Got another 46.5-point total, which is New England at Buffalo, but that is a high spread. Buffalo -14. Curious stud here. Everybody's Josh Allen love. We've nailed Josh Allen for several weeks on the show, so I hope some people made some money that listen. Cleveland at Cincinnati. Cincy's 8.5-point favorites, 46.5-point total, and then Philly -3.5 at Washington, 45.5-point total. I didn't do any under 45 lists, but some of those are high spreads. So the top total teams are the Bills, then the Bengals, then the Lions. All right. I always go to Thorman Snaps and Pace. Up in pace games, they've got Jacksonville at the Raiders, Philly at Washington, and Detroit at Chicago. And then I cross-reference that with Cardi at the Blitz. And most plays for this weekend are Cleveland at Cincy, Rams at the Jets, and Minnesota at Seattle. All right. Let's start off, get right into it. We will talk about running backs. Then we will head over to quarterbacks, align that with wide receivers for our stacks, talk about some tight ends, some defense, and build a lineup and call it a show. All right. Running back position. We have the big news of the week as David Montgomery, electric. David Montgomery went down. I was really bummed about that because he was having such a great season. And man, from the Super Bowl favorite, Detroit is just dealing with all sorts of injuries. They are decimated on the defensive end. So I think betting against them for Super Bowl futures is probably the move. I feel bad for the people who got in early with Detroit. Maybe they surprised me, but man, their defense is shaken up. But it doesn't matter because you can just bet over the total on every one of their games because their defense can't stop anyone and their offense is still completely electric. Finally, we get the Jahmyr Gibbs situation where he is the lone workhorse and he should be a smash. I have a feeling, TJ, that's one of your lock picks. Is that Gibbs or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Lock button on Gibbs this week. It's just too good of a spot not to. I'm kind of shocked at the lack of ownership he's even picking up. Like we're projecting 35, 40%. I thought it was going to be 55. And so Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely going to be a walk button for me.
Yep. Well deserved. Then other Chucky guys, James Conner, coming off a big week, gets the Holy Grail matchup of Carolina. He just put up, he had a great matchup with New England, just 33 fantasy points, 16 rushing attempts, 110 rushing yards, 2 tutties, also got 5 targets, caught all of them, 5 receptions, 28 yards. He is rolling, and then he gets to roll right into this great matchup. Chase Brown was awesome for everyone who played him, which was all of us for sure. And he had 26 fantasy points, got 25 rushing attempts last week, 97 yards or a touchdown. So he left a lot on the table, had a good week, but man, could have been bigger. The matchup was kind of gross with Tennessee, but he gets a I think Cleveland is just, done. So I think this is a strong matchup for him. Other than that, we got guys like Achan, Bijan, Madison, Chuba. I'd like to hear Noto's thoughts on. But Noto, who'd you write up this week for your key personnel and running back position? If that is already up, is it up?
Yeah, just got it up before the show.
Okay.
So yeah, I think there's 2 tiers of running backs. I think it's Jahmyr Gibbs, and then I think it's everybody else. I'm with TJ. I'm locking in Gibbs. I mean, he's averaged 23 fantasy points per game, while David Montgomery's averaging 16 opportunities per game. So got to think. I mean, Craig Reynolds is going to mix in here and there, but got to think Gibbs is going to see 5 or more opportunities than usual. And he gets a matchup against the Bears, their bottom 5 run defense this season. So he's my lock and load play as well. And then I do like Chuba Hubbard. So I know he kind of struggled as a chalk last week, but Arizona, not a very good run defense. And if you look at his numbers from last week, he played on 94% of the snaps. Jonathan Brooks is still out. Miles Sanders is still out. So if he's going to be an every down back at 6,800 in a good matchup at home, I like that quite a bit. You mentioned Chase Brown's good. James Conner's good. For tournaments, I really like Bijan Robinson as kind of a leverage play against Penix. I guess you could play them both together and kind of try to capture all the touchdowns there. And then Devon Achan, also one of my favorite tournament plays. San Francisco's been awful against the run. And even with Mostert back last week, he had 7 receptions, 12 carries. So it's kind of an elimination game for Miami too. So I think they're going to go all out to win this one. So, yeah, those are my favorites. But, man, this is a deep position, and you can make a case for 5 more guys.
Sure can. And speaking of making a case, TJ is going to come make a case for his favorites.
Yeah, it's a really, really small pool of running backs for me this week. Like I said, it's going to be a lock button of Jahmyr Gibbs, and there's only 4 other guys that I'm planning on playing. I'm spending up here. I'm saving salary elsewhere. Chuba Hubbard and James Conner in the same game, both guys that I like. Chase Brown, obviously we like him every week, and I'm playing him again this week. And then my favorite option for tournaments outside of Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be Bijan. Like, rookie quarterback starting his first game. Bijan's getting 100+ yards and a touchdown every single game. I love Bijan Robinson in this spot against the Giants with a rookie quarterback starting for them.
I think he's going to unlock this offense. I think they're going to be cooking this week. It's just Kirk Cousins just has no mobility whatsoever. Just pathetic. So I think they're going to be good. What about Jerome Ford with Chubb out?
There's one scenario only that I'm considering playing Jerome Ford, and that's Joe Burrow stacks are really hard to pay up for this week, but I think worth it. And so if I'm playing Burrow, Higgins, and Jamar Chase, I can't play all the expensive running backs that I want to. And using Jerome Ford as a run back who could potentially be involved in the passing game if they're down, if they somehow get ahead early because he breaks one, then it allows Burrow to be in pass mode, which I don't really see that scenario. But with Burrow stacks is the only reason I would consider Ford. I think you're going to need 60 points from your 2 running back positions, 80+ if you're including your flex position this week.
Yeah, and we should mention some other guys, down here that are Well, we have some big names and like cheap price tags, and Brees Hall is not on any injury report whatsoever this week, fully healthy. Sure, there's still 2 running backs there behind him. We thought maybe his season was going to be ending. It certainly isn't. He's only 6,100 in a match against the Rams. That interests me. Kenneth Walker coming back at 6,300 interests me. And then some guys like Patrick Taylor taking over for San Francisco now, and doesn't seem like he's going to be too high owned whatsoever. Any running back in San Francisco. They desperately need a win, holding on for any hopes of the playoffs. They're not going to make it, but they're still fighting. There's still a chance. So I could see that play being strong. Alexander Madison at 5,100. You guys have any thoughts there, Noto?
I don't know. They just seem like they could be good plays on a different slate, just not on this slate. There's so many good running back plays. Patrick Taylor is probably the most interesting, but looks like Trent Williams is going to be out, and I don't know. I don't know. What are you guys doing with him? I think he's really cheap on FanDuel, so if you want to play him, I'd probably play him over there.
Super cheap, and it's like in Kyle Shanahan offenses, we're used to seeing a workhorse back, so that makes me want to like him, but I just don't. We're gonna have 4 to 5 running backs on this slate putting up 25 to 35 points. It's just not worth it to me to mess around with any of these cheap guys who are splitting time with others. Taylor potentially just because he has control of that backfield, but we still don't know for sure, and we're still not expecting a really big score from him going up against a solid run defense, a team that you want to attack through the air, not through the ground, without Trent Williams. I don't want to play any of these guys who are like, yeah, I can probably get 15 to 20 of them because that's just not going to be enough.
Fair enough. All right, there's not really money more to talk about. I mean, we didn't even you could make a case for Saquon. You can always make a case for Saquon. Jonathan Taylor. There's no shortage of options to go. Like, some of these big names are going to be completely unknown. So I get what you're saying, but I also think that week 16 NFL, some crazy stuff can happen. We've got cheap potential workhorses. We also got big names at low ownership. And obviously I love Gibbs, and I think he's going to absolutely smash, but and I'm going to play him. But, for anyone, the other 2 spots that we can play, I think all of these guys are in play. All right. Let's move it on over to quarterback. This is where it gets interesting. I want to hear Noto's takes because we've got some cheap options. We've got Anthony Richardson, which he already said he liked. We've got Penix taking over this Atlanta offense against the Giants, who are now in danger of missing the last 2 best members of their defense that are they're questionable now. Brian Burns and Deontay something. I can't remember. Deontay Banks, I think it is. Anyways, the Giants are a mess. They've got no one on defense. So this is a great spot for him. And maybe some of the weapons. Cousins just couldn't get it done, couldn't move. So this is going to be good for the offense in general, I think, for Atlanta. Kyler Murray, 6,100 against Carolina. There's no way I'm playing DTR, especially where they said that Jameis could still potentially even play. Now there's some talk that I read about too as well. So they could end up, if DTR is terrible, which I expect him to be for Cleveland, then they could even go back to Jameis potentially. But there's AOC. Look, great spot against the Jags. I know Noto's played him in the past, so I'm figuring you got to like him a little bit, Noto. But who are your guys this week?
Yeah, AOC is interesting for sure. I played him against Tampa the week he got hurt. But I do think he's better than Desmond Ridder, and I do like his wideouts and the matchup against Jacksonville. So I don't mind it. 5,100 isn't a bad price point. I do prefer Anthony Richardson. He's had 36 rushing attempts over the last 4 games alone. Nice home matchup against the Titans, who have been struggling defensively. And he's just going to get there on the ground. If he can get, a couple touchdowns through the air too, I think that's just bonus. Penix, I'm certainly fine with him. I'm always fine with the really cheap quarterback, especially on weeks where there's tight pricing. I do prefer Bijan a little bit, but again, you can play them both together, especially in like a cash game scenario. If they score 4 or 5 touchdowns and they all come through Penix and Bijan, you're going to be looking pretty good there. My next favorite guy is probably Caleb Williams. The Lions are going to put up points. Bears at home. He's got good splits at home. And the Lions very good against the run, very bad against receivers. So it's kind of easy to build a stack with Williams and any of his 3 wideouts. And then if I can, I'd love to get up to Jalen Hurts. He just continues to crush every week. Nobody's going to play him. But I just haven't been able to find the salary just yet.
Man, Caleb was so bad in his last game against Minnesota, like horrific. Or I was just like, this guy just might be dumb. Like he might just be stupid.
He looks bad.
He's pretty consistently very good when he's not pressured and horrific when he's pressured. Like that's pretty much a standard with him throughout the season is when he has time to throw the ball, he's great. When he doesn't, he's the legitimate worst.
Let's see. The Lions.
He did already put up. We saw this on Thanksgiving.
Had like 0 points in the first half, then just went crazy in the second half.
Yeah, 26 fantasy points. And their defense is even in a lot worse shape than it was before that. So I like him, but man, I hate the amount of tilt that he caused me in this last matchup. Just unbelievable. Who are you? We got to at least talk about Josh Allen. I mean, ridiculous. Couple of weeks in fantasy, just, running away with the MVP over Lamar. 54 fantasy points against the Rams, followed up by almost 45 against Detroit. I mean, the guy's just ridiculous. What are you doing, GJ?
Absolutely ridiculous. I want to get up to Josh Allen as much as I can. I don't think I have to stack him. I'm totally cool playing him absolutely naked. The only thing I'm worried about is New England not pushing back in this spot. Now, I don't know how much that'll really matter with a team like Buffalo. I could see him running in a couple touchdowns and them keeping the pedal on the metal regardless in a divisional game against New England at home. But I do worry about it. Can he maintain that ceiling if the other team isn't pushing back? Because in both the Detroit and Rams games, they had to score. Penix is definitely my favorite for cash this week. I think he's kind of like the optimal QB, but I'd be willing to bet and we're not going to waste the time going through all of them, but I'd be willing to bet if I give you guys 10 guesses, you wouldn't be able to figure out my favorite tournament quarterback this week.
Wow.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's on.
It better not be Mac.
It's Mac Jones. It's Mac Jones. That's my guy this week on Noto's team. I'm going Mac Jones. Look, everyone wants to play Brian Thomas. Everybody wants to play Brenton Strange. I agree. They're good plays. But Mac Jones is coming in at 2% ownership with them. He's been really good in 2 of his last 3 games, and now they're playing against Vegas. I like Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is my favorite tournament play on the entire slate.
Yeah. Don Yeezy said it best. Whoever he heard this from must have been a very sharp person. Can't play these country club kids.
So you can against Vegas.
Man, all right, go.
I don't hate
have fun. Have fun lighting it on fire. I'm gonna tweet you on Sunday.
It's the same thing with AOC. Like his 2 receivers are both projecting really well, and he doesn't project well. So it's kind of you want to play him.
I'll give me AOC over him all day. AOC can move at least, but I mean he's coming off of us all. What did he put up last week? Yeah, he came up with 20 fantasy points,
and he had 22 games ago or 3 games ago that was coming in for Trevor Lawrence after he got hurt. That one hurt because if I just got Mac Jones's points for Lawrence, if Lawrence doesn't get hurt and he puts up the same game as Mac Jones, that would have been a 6-figure week for me. And And so I'm going back to the well with it. I like Mac Jones. I am going to play a bunch of these ugly stacks. Like I said, I have a core of expensive running backs that I want to get to as much as I can. Gibbs, Bijan, Chase Brown, James Conner. And so to do that, I do need to try out some of these cheap stacks. So I'll play Penix just like everybody else, but I want to stack him up with Drake London, with Darnell Mooney, with Ray McLeod, because I don't think his receivers are going to be picking up ownership this week. I'll try Drew Lock, who's a running quarterback against Atlanta, with Malik Neighbors, who he absolutely peppers with targets and is projecting well. I'll maybe even try a little bit of Mason Rudolph, because when he starts and he's in there, he's actually been good from a fantasy perspective. So maybe I'll try a little bit of him with Ridley and Westbrook Akine, 2 cheap receivers, so that I can load up on the running back position again. I'll do the same with Aiden O'Connell, but probably less because I have to spend up for Bowers there. What I'll do is I'll play Bowers at the flex, and then I want to play him with Brenton Strange because, spoiler alert, that's my other lock button. Gibbs and Brenton Strange will be in every single lineup I play. Anthony Richardson I like a lot because he's going to be without Pierce, and I think most people are going to play him naked. And so you can double stack him with Pittman and Downs, or just pick one of them. But I like the double stack because they're both so cheap. And so what does it allow me to do with 2 super cheap receivers? I get to play Chase. I get to play Gibbs. I get to play Bijan Robinson in that lineup. Do the same thing with Caleb Williams and his cheap receivers. Same thing with Geno Smith and Metcalf and JSN, because they're both 6K and below. The only 2 I'm planning to spend up for are going to be Burrow and Josh Allen.
Yeah. So Richardson has 4 rushing TDs over his last 4. Pretty much averaging about 50 yards on the ground over that. I can get behind someone like that for sure. I'm trying to think here if there's I'm kind of interested in Bryce Young. I don't know. I know like these Arizona games. What did you say? Didn't you say this last? Like everyone loves Arizona, but they never ever score.
Like quarterbacks always project well against them, and they never actually do anything.
I just have a feeling
Chuba's going to get there anyway.
The running backs do. And so I like Chuba in this spot too.
All right. I think that's enough. Hit that. Let's go over to wide receiver. What's interesting is like Drew Lock is horrible. Malik Neighbors is a beast, but like Neighbors is coming in as like projected to be one of the highest owned wide receivers on the slate. I guess I see it, and he's only 6,100, but man, Lock is terrible. But BTJ is going to get some love for sure. Like you said, everyone wants to play him. DJ Moore, I love 5,700 in this matchup with Detroit, where they're just going to have to absolutely score. I think that he's a lock to me, anyway. Jamar Chase is in the runnings here. Jackson's JSN. And definitely in play. DK Metcalf, they play a lot of man. He's a man beater, so he could definitely put up some huge yardage, in my opinion, or break a long one to the house. I don't know. I'll let you start, TJ. Who are your favorites at wide receiver this week?
Yeah, so because I'm spending up at running back, I'll most likely be looking at these 6,500 and below guys for my main receiving pool. Brian Thomas is my favorite expensive, even though he's $6,300 receiver on this slate. Drake London I'll play specifically with Penix. Neighbors I'll play specifically with Drew Lock. JSN and Metcalf I'll do that specifically with what's his name? Geno Smith. Jawan Jennings is one of my favorites. I think Devonta Smith is one of the strongest tournament plays in the slate. He runs a different route tree whenever Dallas Goedert doesn't play. That includes more crossing routes over the middle. He gets targeted more, and nobody is playing him, and he should be $6,800 instead of $5,800. So Devonta Smith is one of my favorites. Jacoby Myers is in a great spot, but I think he's going to be super chalky. Same with DJ Moore. As pivots off of them, I like some Adam Thielen with no Leggett for this one. Jameson Williams, Darnell Mooney, Keenan Allen is going to be one of my favorites and one of my main targets. And then to get really cheap, and then I said like Pittman and Downs with Richardson. To get really cheap, I'm looking at guys like Ray McLeod, Tim Patrick, Jalen Coker, or all the way down to a Malik Washington because Miami is going to be without Jalen Waddle.
Yep. Certainly Malik is in play for sure now with that news. And so I'm looking at Pro Football Focus, their best matchups. Downs is has the best matchup advantage of the week against Tennessee. So I think that's pretty interesting for a cheap price. Noto, who are you liking? You're on mute.
Classic.
Damn.
Wasn't really originally planning to stack with Richardson, but yeah, he made a good case for Downs, especially with Pierce being out. So I might play some of him. I'm in lockstep with TJ in that I'm not going to play a ton of the expensive receivers just because I'm spending up the running back so much. Love Brian Thomas Jr. 36 targets over the last 3 games. Good matchup against Vegas. I love league neighbors. Good bet for double-digit targets every week. In Atlanta, they've just been getting burned by outside receivers this season. AJ Terrell has really struggled in coverage, so I like that quite a bit. And then, yeah, you guys mentioned a lot of the other good ones. The Seattle guys are interesting. Jacoby Myers isn't projecting as well as he has the last few weeks, so I'm kind of hoping the ownership won't be as high. And then all the Chicago guys that are on my radar, I just don't know which one to play. Are we double stacking?
You double stack it. Well, they're so cheap. Like, what are they doing? DJ Moore is 5,700. Keenan Allen is 5,300. What'd you say?
Double stack and leave off a Dunze. You can play a Dunze for sure, but he's definitely third among the group for me. Keenan Allen is the one I want to make sure I get.
DJ Moore is going off. I'm telling you. You heard it here.
Yeah, I like them both.
Are you playing it with Gibbs? Yeah, because you're locking Gibbs. You throw. Are you trying to get him on Raw in there too? And really?
No Amon Ra for me. I'd rather go J-Mo, Tim Patrick, or even Sam Laporta in a double tight end build.
5,500 looks pretty tasty for J-Mo. Yeah, Tim Patrick just constantly. It's like I never even pay him any attention whatsoever, and he just constantly scores touchdowns.
Yeah, and 7 and 8 targets in his last 2 games too.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Like somebody asking in chat about Puka Nacua. Yeah, raw points perspective, I think Puka Nacua is actually my favorite receiver on the slate. I bet him over his receiving yards total this week. But I'm just not going to be getting there unless I do like a Stafford Nacua cup stack, which I might. But I plan on spending up at running back in basically all of my lineups. So Nacua, Chase, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson. These are just players that I'm foregoing this week unless they're specifically in a stack.
Yeah, there's so much upside with this mid-tier again that DraftKings handed us. Now, obviously, Caleb has brought these guys' salaries down for a reason, so maybe he's terrible. But, like, this Detroit defense is just Swiss cheese right now. So,
yeah.
God help him if he doesn't come through. What about, like, Leggett's out? Did you guys see Leggett? There was a video. He eats raccoons. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, he was talking like, what's the craziest food to eat? He's like, I eat coon. And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, I go catch it, I skin it, I eat it, I eat like, and I was like, oh my God. Anyway, he's out. Like, there's like, Thielen is just interesting to me. For
Coker's questionable too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's been practicing.
And I bet I played into when he showed up with the Randy Moss jersey in the walkthrough, I bet his anytime touchdown and did not work out.
Well, that whole offense just got stifled because Bryce Young was so bad. Like, terrible interception, 2 fumbles. He was just turning it over any chance he could.
I think Drake London is in play. I mean, you said Malik Washington, 3,700. That's the punt.
Yeah, kind of like Calvin Ridley. He's got a 45% target share with Mason Rudolph under center this season.
Yep, 5,700. That's my type of play. What the hell is Tyreek just dust? Anyone have a take on Tyreek? Like
Their
he's
offensive
just-
line is terrible, and they get rid of the ball faster than anybody else in the league. So they don't throw deep balls because they don't do like drop back long enough to do it.
But they're like not even like giving him like any like gadget plays or like they're like totally like he's not.
He's getting that. Like he's getting a lot of short touches. He's just not getting any of the long ones like he used to.
I don't know. I haven't seen
Like last year games 7, 14, 9 targets. He's still getting the looks. He's just not getting the deep looks.
So weird. Johnny's having a breakout year in that offense, and Tyreek isn't doing anything.
Yeah. Literally nothing in his last game against Houston. All right. Anyone I'm missing here?
No, sir. Juwan Jennings, we've talked about, but I just want to really hammer home. I think he's such a phenomenal player.
Who did you say your favorite punt was, Kirk?
My favorite what?
Punt?
Oh, I mean it's Malik Washington with Waddle. Waddle out.
Yeah.
And Tyreek unfortunately can't get anything going. Although he had one decent game. All right. This is gonna be a quick show. I like it. Tight ends. Brenton Strange is going to be the chalk. Ingram's replacement was just unbelievable. 12 targets, looked incredibly good, looked incredibly athletic. 11 catches, 73 yards. If he gets some touchdowns going, man, he would have totally, broke the slate. I mean, he broke the slate anyway. He's so cheap, and he's only 3,500 now. Trey McBride still can't get his touchdown. They're saying they're going to get him a touchdown, so he's
getting it this week for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be this week, right, against Carolina. Jonnu Smith, as Noto just mentioned, is basically the wide receiver one now at this point. For crazy to say that, especially being a Pats fan, like watching him, he did absolutely nothing for the Pats. Brock Bowers, again, when people have soured off of him, he's back with AOC now. That's got to be a big boom coming off 2 really bad games. So I think now is the time to get in. But who else do you guys like? Noto?
Yeah, you mentioned all the guys I like. I like Bowers and McBride up top. Strange if you're saving. And then probably play some Laporta, especially if I end up playing a lot of Caleb Williams, which I'm probably going to do. So I'll play some Gibbs and Laporta with my Caleb Williams stacks. Outside of that, I don't love too much. Jonnu with Waddle out's fine. Hawkinson's been a little bit better recently, but I think I'm just going to have a bunch of Strange, and, it worries me a little bit with Mac Jones under center.
TJ.
Brenton Strange in 100% of my lineups. Lock button. I'm going to also play 3 other tight ends in double tight end builds, and that's it. I'm going to play Sam Laporta, at least 6 targets in 4 straight games, 10 in his last one. He's been getting very involved. Tight ends crush Chicago. Trey McBride, like we talked about, think he's getting that tight end, that touchdown this week. Double-digit targets in 4 straight games. Doesn't even matter if he doesn't get the touchdown because he performs, but this week the touchdown is coming. And then Brock Bowers specifically in an Aiden O'Connell team. But Brenton Strange is going to be in every single lineup I play.
In a desperation game, and looking with San Francisco, Miami, and looking at the who the matchup advantage for PFF is, their overall top matchup advantage is George Kittle. He's got a matchup advantage usually against anyone, personally, but in a must-win game, even though last week was must-win too, pretty much, but this is the end of the road. I think you can chase that upside for Kittle in this game against Miami. We called Chig last week, I think. I did, but he was pretty good. But Strange, unfortunately, made him irrelevant. Man, locking in Strange, huh? Locking in that Strange with Mac Jones. Risky.
Mac Jones, every time he's gone in this year, Mac Jones has liked targeting Brenton Strange even when Evan Ingram was playing. And then the first game that Evan Ingram's out, he just absolutely peppers him. I'm going right back to the well.
He was conditioned like that at New England too. That he was always just Hunter Henry. It was always the tight end. So I think it makes a lot of sense. All right. Anyone else we're missing? Should we name like any?
Can we play Ben Sina if Ertz is out?
Ertz, I think he is going to be out, right? Is that what is?
No, I think he's looking like he's actually going to be back. He practiced without. He practiced in a full contact jersey today.
Okay, I guess that.
From his concussion, I think.
All right. Oh, little revenge. I think you got to play him.
I don't know. I don't think you got to play anybody against Philadelphia. Like, they've just been by far the best defense in the league over the last bit.
Yeah, they're smoking mirrors. I'm playing some Zach Ertz revenge.
But if Ertz is out,
if you're doing that, I think you play it with Jaden Daniels and maybe even punt with De'Ami Brown too, because then I'm
not playing De'Ami.
Because then you're like, you don't want to spend all the way up for McLaurin probably against this Eagles defense and what they've done to wide receiver ones this year. You can, but then you can't spend up for the running backs. You can play Daniels, De'Ami, and Ertz and then still do the whole Gibbs, Chase Brown thing.
Wow, they hiked up Terry. Scary Terry. That was the play like all the last 3 weeks in a row, and they finally they hiked him up to 7,300. Unreal. Unbelievable. All right. Defenses. Who cares? Or should we give some takes? The Bills are going to be chalky against New England, as obviously they're 14-point favorites. Bengals put up a bunch of points last week playing against DTR. I think that's a really good play. Not playing the looks like some ownership is going to come into the Lions, and no thank you for me. I get it against Caleb, but no thanks. I don't know. What's the lowest we can go?
Well, I mean, the chalkiest defense on the slate is projecting to be the Patriots at the bottom.
Is that from RG or is that across the industry?
Across the industry, Patriots are the chalkiest. If you want to look at the blitz, they got the Bears right up there with them. But it looks like the punt guys are going to be the chalkiest teams on the slate, like the Browns, the Bears, and the Patriots all picking up projected ownership. Same with the Jets at 2,500. I would actually prefer to go the Titans or the Giants in that same range over all those teams that are picking up ownership. I think the Titans are my favorite group of the bunch. Or if you're not loading up on Jacksonville players like I am, the Raiders. I think my favorite actually overall of this entire group is going to be the 49ers at 2,800 because Bosa's expected back for this one. They're expected to get more defensive pieces back. Fully healthy, the 49ers should be a $3,500 team even against Miami.
No, I'm gonna correct you here. No one is gonna play the Patriots defense against Josh Allen and the Bills. They are RG has them as they're in one other place, but then one other big place has them like non-existent for ownership, under 1%. I don't think people are gonna go there, and I don't think you're gonna get
them. Also has them the highest at 13.5%.
I think Cardi needs to rerun some numbers. That's just me. The Kirk Opto says no New England.
I don't think like you were saying earlier, the Lions and the Bills are going to end up chalky. I don't think that's going to be the case because I don't think people are going to be able to afford them.
Well, over at ETR, they got them up high. Saber has them up high. The Bills, that is.
Like they project well from a point standpoint, which doesn't really matter for defense, but I don't think people are going to be able to afford them.
I think you can. We'll see. We'll see how this turns out. But okay, so if we're not playing the Patriots for cheap, who's the next best cheapie?
It's 28, but I think 49ers and Seahawks are my two favorite.
Yeah, I don't hate the Raiders.
Just against Jacksonville.
what's his name, Crosby. Like they're a tough defense to play without Crosby because he was the only one that really ever got pressure.
Should I hate the Jets?
More of a bet against Mac Jones.
Yeah,
The Jets.
100%. I was for sure 100%ing to what Noto said about Mac Jones, not about the Jets. I think Jets being chalky isn't something we want to really get to. They're
I don't
bad.
think. Yeah. 2,500. I don't see any chalk. They're not chalk. Anyway, so we're going to disagree on some defenses, but all right, let's build a lineup. Who has the really strong opinion on a QB? Spit it out.
I do, but you don't like it, so we don't have to go there.
If Noto's down, then let's do it.
I mean, let's do it. Then we can double stack.
I'm a Patriots fan, so I can't. The guy sucks. Okay, like he may have a good game, but he sucks.
I'll throw 3 out there for you guys. I think we should double stack because double stacking allows us to spend up to at running back. But I would say Caleb double stack, Richardson double stack, or Mac Jones double stack.
I mean, I would say Caleb, but it's going to be the chalkiest. It's going to be complete chalk, I think. But let's go. Let's do it.
We got to play Gibbs.
Yeah, let's just. I mean, basically, that's what we should do. Is just game stack the hell out of this game. Like, how many can we stuff in this game and feel like we still have a competitive lineup? So let's start off with Caleb, and let's add Gibbs, lock, and let's do Keenan and Moore.
You do Keenan Moore with Tim Patrick. You could either and Brenton Strange.
Well, we're using your Strange. I mean, this is going to be real chalk, but we're using your Strange.
But I mean, Tim Patrick's projecting for 1% owned. This leaves us 2,200 at running back, for defense, or we downgrade Bijan to somebody else. For what it's worth, I probably will have like almost.
Who's the second running back you guys want to play?
I think Chase Brown is probably a must.
He's in there. I mean, I have a lineup right now. It looks pretty damn good if you want to do a double tight end, which you said you were doing.
Was Laporta?
No. Well, we could do. Yeah, let's do that. That fits this. That fits. I was going to spit out McBride. Let's put Laporta in there. Unless we want.
Would you want Laporta, JMO, or Patrick as our Detroit receiver?
Yeah, let's do JMO. But we can get, so there's like so many good wide receiver plays. That's why I'm a little hesitant. But let's, because like we could do like a Neighbors, Thomas, or we could even get like, if we got down from Chase.
If we did JMO and James Conner, it leaves us 2,200. Or if we did JMO and Hubbard, it would leave us 2,500.
We want the Jets. 2,500. I'm saying Jets. Jets D.
Then Hubbard works there.
All right, that's a wrap, right? No UFC to talk about.
There any UFC? No UFC.
No UFC to talk about. Let's see, chat. Anything? Chat? Any questions? Throw them in. But
somebody asked about the weather. Doesn't look like any games are going to be too bad. It's going to be cold for a lot of games, but not a lot of wind or snow.
Yeah.
Noto, you got any hot college football takes?
I don't really watch college football, to be honest. So, nope.
I just bet who Chop tells me to bet. That's honestly all I do for college football. And I think they're all on Texas tomorrow. So that's what I'll be betting. All right. This has been this is a wrap. We'll be back next week with Bobby. And we're going to be doing it at the same time, 7:30 next Friday.
Yeah, 7:30 on Friday because we got back-to-back Saturdays with football.
How about any must plays tomorrow in the Saturday games? One like non-chalky must play. or haven't looked yet?
Yeah, I wrote a whole article on it, and I can't even remember who's playing now because
It's too much going with NBA.
content,
I
man.
feel you. Too much sports right now.
It's a weirdly good tight end slate for it to be 2 games because we have 2 teams that have 2 elite, like very good playable tight ends with Likely and Andrews, Gray and Kelsey. We got Freiermuth for Pittsburgh. So really good tight ends in this slate. That's the biggest thing I noticed. And it's super easy to spend up for Henry and Nico Collins. And so might as well just play both in every lineup.
All right, that's a wrap. This has been the RGDFS Tournament Takes Podcast, Week 16 edition, and we will be back next week. Thank you.
Woo!
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 There it is.
There we go.